so welcome back to Elektrowerkz. Right now I am joined by Nature of Wires, so thank you for joining us, guys.
No worries.
So how long has Nature of Wires been going, and who are Nature of Wires? Tell us about yourselves.
Well, we started in the mid-80s, and Gary and I, we formed a band, and sort of ended in the 93, 94 time, and we had a bit of a 20-year break, and I'll pass you over to Gary to give you fill in the rest.
Yeah, we played between 86 and 94, and then in 94 we decided to take a 6-month break, which then turned into 20 years. So I started dabbling again about 5 years ago, so we're sort of the new now, if you like, has been going for 5 years.
So you've given to Beat Cancer's album this weekend one of your tracks, Shame, I believe. So what's the story behind that song, and why did you choose that one to give to the CD?
Well, this latest album that we've written is really the prominence of it is my divorce and leaving a very, very abusive relationship, and Shame is basically all about my ex-husband. So yeah, very cathartic though to write it. So yeah.
Is that the album that you've just released? I believe it's called Modus. Is that the one, or is this a new one?
No, this one will be a new one. We've got two.
Yeah, at the moment, the Modus album is an album of songs that Gary and I wrote predominantly in the 80s and 90s. It's sort of a retro album, and it was something that we've been planning to do for about 30 years, but we've finally done it. Sarah's and Gary's songs that they've been writing at the moment is for an album that's coming out hopefully next year. And Shame is one of the songs I think that was considered for it, but has gone to this album.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when can we expect the new album?
Oh, sorry.
Well, it's all a bit up in the air at the moment. We sort of got a provisional title. We've got 13, 14 songs for it. We're still just trying to get the finishing touches put to it and decide on the format of the release. You know, do we do a full album? Do people even do that anymore? Do we do a series of 3 or 4 EPs? Do we just release singles with remixes? We're still working on that one.
And I believe you're playing the O2 Islington next weekend. Is that correct?
Yes, next time.
Yeah. Who else is joining you on stage that weekend?
Well, obviously the headliners are Empathy Test, and they have a very special guest, Saffron Sprackling from Republica. Also, who else is there?
We've got Transmission.
Transmission, yeah. And this is
Radio Silence.
This is Radio Silence and us, so it should be a good experience. You know, I've never played the O2, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's quite a large venue, isn't
it?
So.
Yeah, sure, fill it.
You guys are well known for remixing other artists' songs. I think one of my particular favourites is Massive Ego's Blood in Your Veins. So how was it working with that band, and what's been your favourite band to collaborate with in the past?
Yeah, the remixes are primarily me, Gary. I've done something like 75 now. The Massive Ego one, I was invited to do that, I think three years ago next month. Time's really flown, and Lloyd, who was in the band at the time, just contacted me, knew I did remixes, and asked me if I'd like to do that one. And as is often the case, the ones that are considered the better ones are the ones that come together the quickest, and that pretty much 90% came together on a wet Sunday afternoon in December 2016, and they just left me to my own devices. Really, I sent them the demo MP3 back, and they liked it straight away. So that was very satisfying. Hard to choose which ones are my sort of favourites. I was very satisfied with the one I did for Leather Strip. That's about 2.5 years ago, and Klaus Larsson said at the time it was one of the best anybody had ever done for him, which was sort of bowled me over, really. It was a massive compliment. I mean, there's so many. I mean, I couldn't remember most of them, to be honest. The memory's not what it used to be. But of those 75 remixes, there's probably 65 different artists, because I've done 2 or 3 for several. But yeah, they keep coming. I've got another 7 or 8 in the pipeline, and no sign of showing up just yet.
I was just going to quickly say, but Klaus from Leatherstrip did a brilliant remix for us for our Modus album of a song called Madame Serena that we'll be doing tonight, that actual mix. And it just had to be a single. We released it as a dual single. It was brilliant.
And so finally, obviously, you said you had that break for quite a while. So are you guys back now? Does the future hold a lot more concerts and touring for you?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, there are a number of different sort of projects on the horizon for next year. So we're just going to carry on playing, but we have sort of different things happening next year, and we've got a lot of interest in America now. So we have a promoter in America, Barbara Sobel, who's been doing a brilliant job. And so we're just really in the stages of planning what we're going to be doing. So I'll give it to Gary.
Yeah, in the meantime, obviously we've got today, we've got next week, which we're very excited about. Then we've got a couple of months off, which is much needed because I'm worn out. And then we're back with Toyah Wilcox in Wolverhampton at the Slade Rooms on January the 18th. And then we've got another a few months off as things stand, because we want to concentrate on getting this album or whatever it is finished. And then we got 3 shows in quick succession in successive weekends for the Artefactor Radio based in Mexico City. The first one on April the 25th is here at Elektrowerkz downstairs. Following week is in Berlin, and then the following week in Copenhagen. And that's as far as we've got so far. We are looking to be a bit more selective about the sort of gigs we take on. Play to too many empty rooms is the honest answer to that. But yeah, it's good. We're not looking at retiring just yet, are we?
No.
I got 5 albums.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you.
Thank you for watching.